Hey, so this video is kind of not impromptu, but I didn't really plan much for this video. I just put something on Instagram last minute asking me questions because if you follow my Instagram or you've been keeping track of my website at all, then you might have seen that a certain something came in the mail this last week. This the arena. So I'm so excited. This is my book. It's the paperback from Amazon, as you can see, but it finally came. This is the proof copy, so that's why there's this little not for resale watermark right here. Amazon, they put that on all of their proof books so that you can't resell it. They do the same thing with the barcode on the back. That is not my barcode, and that is not my ISBN. They do that so that no one can scan it and find it and sell it online. So this is from Amazon. I'm so excited. Oh my gosh. And I've been posting it all over my social media, all over Instagram. And it kind of occurred to me last week. And I thought well, why don't we do a proper flip through? I did a flip through of the book and its contents on my TikTok. If you don't follow me on TikTok, all of that information will be below where you can go and find me. But I flipped through the book, kind of showed off how pretty it is because it's beautiful. And it kind of dawned on me, I haven't done a question and answer pretty much since I announced my publication date. And that was the first publication date. That was before the whole conundrum with the cover, which clearly has been sorted. Oh my gosh, this is beautiful. So I thought, why don't I just throw something out there, see what questions people might ask that just happen to see that I'm asking for questions. And I'll do an actual video where I go through, talk about how I created this, everything cover related, and any questions you might have up to this point. So that's what this video is all about, this book. Oh my gosh, guys, I'm so excited. So let's get into it. So the very first question that I got a couple dozen times from people who follow me on Instagram is, who did this cover? So I'll explain a little bit some of the conundrum with the last cover here also, in case you didn't get that information from my video about moving back the date of publication. So originally I had contracted an artist from Fiverr. So I used Fiverr and everything was going really well. I got a mock for all formats, actually. The paperback, hardcover, all of that stuff. I got mock-ups for all of it. I even asked for things to be changed a little in the cover, and he came back very quickly with what I had asked. So all of that's going on. I thought it was all going great. It was exactly in my schedule the way I needed it to be for promotional material and stuff. And then he just kind of stopped corresponding with me. And I keep reaching out, and I get a message that he had gone overseas, and this is during the pandemic, and this was during, I think, the second wave when that started to come through. And he said, I'm kind of stuck and in quarantine hotel. It's going to be at least 2 weeks before I get back to even work on it. So I wait the 2 weeks and still nothing. And now not only has it been 2 weeks and I haven't heard from him, but I'm having a really difficult time getting a response, which is something that hadn't been happening before. So he ghosted me. And I had started all of this work, and so I pulled out of the deal before it could all be finalized and go through. So at this point, I've already done a lot of the other stuff. So this was after I had worked with my editor, and my editor and I finalized the book, and I had finalized the interior of the book. And I used a format of the interior that fit his cover design so that it was all seamless. And so at this point I'm thinking, oh, well, great. Now it may not even look the same. And I've put all of this like promotional material. I'd been doing the quotes on Instagram. I've been doing those, and those were designed with the old cover. So now everything that I've put online and promoted isn't going to be the same. And so I had like a pity party over Christmas a little bit. I was super upset because I'd been kind of screwed over essentially by this person. Well, maybe, yeah, kind of screwed over by this person who said he could do it and then just didn't ever respond, versus being a big person and saying that they just couldn't complete the job. So I pulled out finally, and I decided to use a different cover designer. So what I had intended, and what's really a pretty good practice with self-publishing, is to do the cover pretty early on in the publication process, still after you have like a final draft, because you have to have an exact page number that's not going to change, because the number of pages in your book determines how big this spine gets. And if that changes, then you have to go back with your cover designer and change the dimensions of the spine, which isn't too big of a deal. But if it's been like weeks after and you finalize the deal, you might be looking at an extra cost or just extra trouble. So normally you do that early and not late, but here I am late trying to create a design, which is what everybody sees for this promotional stuff. So I decided that everything had gone so well on Readsy, which is a website for self-publishing, but publishing in general. I had such a good experience with my editor through Readsy that I thought maybe everything will go well and I can just do the cover through there also. So if you don't know anything about Readsy, Readsy's a really cool website all about publishing. There's everything from graphic designers to like ghost writers if you're looking to write a book with somebody. And of course, tons of different editors. I found an editor on there in the fall, and she was fantastic. She is in London, I believe, and she worked on the UK edition of The Hunger Games, and that immediately sent flags up in my brain like, oh my gosh, this is a pretty similar style book to what The Hunger Games was. It's covering kind of the same sort of tyrannical government principles. This would be great. She kind of has an idea of my vision a little bit and how it might be different. So I had a really great time working with her. It was fantastic. So I decided to hop on Readsy and look through their cover designer section. And I pitched my book to 5 or 6 of them, and they all responded within like at least a day. I had 2 responses within hours, and by the second day, all of them had responded to me but one, and they were all fantastic. They all do really great work, and I picked Lena Yang, who's Canadian, and she works in the world of mostly audiobooks, but publishing. A lot of the people on Readsy, what I liked about Readsy is a lot of them are not doing this necessarily for a living. This is like extra for them. It's freelancing. So they already do what they do on Readsy, but they do it in real life with publishing houses. So that's how they have so much experience and knowledge about the world of books, is because that's what they do during their day to day. And that's what Lena did. She works mostly with audiobooks, but she designs covers for them and has designed covers for books that have been really successful. So I decided to work with her, and she did amazing. I mean, look at this. So that's who did my cover, just to kind of give you a glimpse of it. Here's the front cover. Yeah, my name's nice and big. And the spine, holy moly. And then there's the back. And again, this is not my barcode, so I'll just cover that. You can ignore that. That's something Amazon puts there for their tracking purposes, and so that you can't resell it. So I think I've already said that in this video, but that's what that is. So there's her work. She's amazing. The next question that I got, which I thought was pretty fun, was what is your favorite part of the cover? And oh my gosh, I have a really hard time picking. I think the whole cover is beautiful. I'm just astounded at how great of a job she did. It looks great with a lot of, like, next to a lot of other young adult sci-fi novels. When a good way to judge, to like test your cover design is to do what they call a thumbnail test. So you take a thumbnail, literally something like this big, an image of your cover, and you put it in a collage with everything else that's out there and popular right now to see if it blends in. And if it blends in, then you have a good chance of it fitting with the genre and attracting the same kinds of readers. So I think this fits that really well. As for my favorite part, gosh, that's so hard to pick. I love this kind of color fading that's happening throughout. I think it's super pretty. It's a little bit girly, but not so girly that I think it's going to be off-putting. I don't think it screams that this is a girly book, because it's not. I think my favorite part, though, about like everything is, oh my gosh, my name's right here. I've dreamed of this my entire life. Oh my gosh. So my name's there. Also, it's the little details, guys, that I'm living for. And an industry standard in like the traditionally published world with like the big five, like talk about Penguin and stuff, they always put their brand logo on the spine. And I sent her mine, and she did a really great job making the design of it fit with the book, because this is not the same logo exactly that is all over some of like my website and stuff. This is a little different. But here that's it right there. So she put my logo on my book. So it looks exactly like what a traditional book would look like. I mean, and what I've been putting this book on my bookshelf back here just to see if it looks normal there, and it looks so normal. Like, this makes such a big difference. So I would say the spine in general might be my favorite part, because my name's on it, because I wrote this book. Oh Lord. And then my logo is here. It just looks exactly like every other book that's ever been published. It's blowing my mind. So I think that would be my favorite part of the cover. The next question I got was, are there other formats? So when I ordered the proof copies, part of the reason that you do the cover and all of this prep work so early in the publication process is because it kind of takes a while to get the proof copies back to you. So this came really quickly, only because I paid quite a bit in the shipping for it. This is the paperback version, as you can see, and it came in just about exactly a week. I was kind of amazed. I also ordered the hardcover version in a proof copy, and it is not scheduled to be here until April. The book is published the 28th of March. So the proof copy is going to get here after I hit publish. And so I am putting quite a bit of trust in my cover designer's knowledge and the fact that the specs on this came out so well that I'm just going to hope and pray that the hardcover turns out the same. The biggest difference with the hardcover, of course, is that there's a book jacket on top. So I'm not too concerned about things coming out really wonky. If it comes out a little wonky, it'll be the jacket, because the interior came out really well on the paperback, and that should translate exactly the same to the hardcover. So to answer the question, yes, there are more than just this paperback. The paperback is just all I could get here in time to look at for a proof copy. So there's a paperback, there will be a hardback, an ebook, and in the next month or so, I will start working with Audible to record an audiobook. So the audiobook is going to come out probably sometime in April or even maybe 1st of May, just because you have to work with Audible, you have to have a published book first that they can purchase and read from in order to do the audiobook. So that'll come out. So I'm going to have all of those formats. Yeah. Which actually leads into the next question. So I have all of them here. So the question, are there other formats? Yes, ebook, hardback, paperback, and future audiobook. So that goes into this next question. Where can we find the book when it's published? I get this a lot. So, and I think it's because the answer is always the same. You should be able to find it wherever books are sold as long as it's in stock there. So I'm publishing through Amazon because Amazon, I believe, is the largest publisher or distributor. Forgive me. It is the largest distributor of books just because, I mean, think about all the things that you order on Amazon. There's a lot. So Amazon will have a copy. This is actually the proof copy from Amazon. Proof copies through Ingram Spark, which is my other distributor. They look a little bit different the way that they come to you, but it's the same book. So I'm publishing through Amazon and Ingram Spark. And the reason why is because Amazon being so big in themselves, I can run some promotional things there. And publishing through Amazon leads me easily into the audiobook world. There are a lot of options you can have with Amazon. You can publish exclusively through Amazon and get into what's called Kindle U, I believe. And if you go exclusively through Amazon, they will give you more of your royalties. So I'd get paid a little bit larger chunk if I just published with Amazon. But I chose not to do that because I want my books to be on bookshelves. I want them in libraries, and I want them to be found at other I want them to be found from other people also. So what Ingram Spark is giving me that Amazon isn't, is that by publishing through Ingram Spark, it will make my book available to any bookstore that you want to buy through, as long as they choose to stock it in that bookstore. So you have to ask them. Libraries, they also work with Apple Books, Walmart, Target, Barnes & Noble. All of those places are connected with Ingram Spark. So by hitting publish on Ingram Spark, this book becomes available wide, which means that it goes out to all these places where books are usually sold, and you can find it there. So once I hit publish, if you go to, for instance, like walmart.com, look up the title of this book with my name, you should be able to find it online, but that doesn't mean it's going to be in your Walmart in your town. That's how it works with all of these realtors. Realtors, oh my gosh. That's how it works with all of these places. You kind of have to request that the book be on that shelf, or it has to be really popular to hit the shelf, but it is step one towards getting that. So I'm publishing through Ingram Sparks and Amazon. The audiobook though will be exclusively through Amazon. So I will get a little bit more of a chunk of royalties there. And my decision for doing that is kind of like personal preference. I read a lot of audiobooks, and I only read those audiobooks through Audible. It's the largest platform for audiobook readers. I'm a subscriber to Audible. I think it's a pretty great service, and the way that they have Audible set up for authors and it being so easy to contract out with the narrators, I decided that it was going to be easier for me just to go through Audible to publish the audiobook. And then I decided didn't really see a huge amount of benefit through putting making my audiobook wide, at least not for the effort it was going to take me right now. So for now, the audiobook is going to be Audible exclusive. So when you go and find it on Amazon, it's going to have, on the cover, it'll have one of these little slashes through here and it'll say Audible exclusive. So there's that question. All right, so the next question is, how long is the book? So you can kind of tell looking at it, it's not super long. It is 294 pages. That's how long the book portion is. That doesn't include like my acknowledgments and my author page and stuff in the end, but that's how long the book is, just 294 pages, which also leads into the next question. Can you give us a sneak peek? Sure. Oh my gosh. So if I sound really funny, that's because I'm not recording on my camera today. I'm recording on my MacBook. So here's the cover again, and the spine. Here's the back. It's a little hard to read the back right now just because of the watermark on it. So I thought, I've already done a flip through on TikTok, but since one of the questions was a sneak peek, I'm going to do two things. I'm going to kind of flip through some of this just to give you an idea of like the style. And I am going to read just a little snippet from a chapter that I haven't posted or read from before. So this is going to be a video exclusive. It'll only be in this video. So here's the cover. Originally, like I said earlier in the video, I did create the interior, which is this part. I made the interior style fit for the old cover. So about a couple weeks ago, when my cover designer sent me this cover, I went in and I found a style that looked exactly like the font on the front of the book. So I last minute changed it, which sounds like a lot of work. All I had to do with the software I'm using, which is Vellum, by the way, I went into Vellum and I went into their styles and I selected a setting for a specific style and it redid the whole interior for me, which was awesome. So all I did was click a button. So sounds like a lot of work, wasn't a lot of work, but here's kind of the style of the interior. Again, my logo's on the bottom. There's my name. I'm so excited. And there is kind of a glimpse at what the styling is in the title there. So it does look super similar. So I thought I'm going to make that change. So there's the title, and I've already posted the first chapter for free on my website. So I'm not very concerned about showing it. So here's the style. I didn't change anything in the settings. So I clicked the setting for this style and I didn't even go through and adjust it. Although on Vellum you can. So here's chapter 1. All the first letters are capitalized in this kind of light gray, which I thought was really cool. It fits with, I thought, the A's on the front, so I kept it. And here's chapter 2. The pages are numbered in the top corners. So on the left side, it's always my name, like page 2. And then on the right side, it's the name of the book, like page 3. So that's how it goes through. That's really the only thing stylistically in this book is that. There's chapter 2. Ooh. So now, hello. Now I'm going to come around and let's talk about my sneak peek. So I'm going to read from chapter 7. So, oh my gosh. Okay. Chapter 7. I woke up to the crack from the, I woke up to the crackling from the fire and sat straight up when I saw the dune dog, laying just feet from my head. It was the same large wolf I'd faced days ago, but this time he wasn't threatened. He looked my way before lowering his head back to the sandy floor of the cave, watching me with sweet eyes. So, that's chapter 7. It mentioned dune dogs. So, if you want to learn more about how important dune dogs are in the book, you'll have to read it. Okay. So I have 2 questions left, and it's all related to like the process. So the first question is, what will you do differently with your next book? So really pretty early in the process, I started like compiling notes of things that I want to do for my next book, because there will be a next book, hopefully very soon, definitely for this next year. So what would I do differently? I'm going to address that really just cover related, not to the whole process. I do plan on making a video that addresses everything I did and how I did it. Just in case you were wondering, that'll be out, I'm sure, after the book is out, so that I can get a full scope. Oh my goodness. Getting all kinds of announcements here. Anyway, so what will I do differently? In regards to the cover, I definitely will go through Readsy again. I've actually already kept lines open with my cover designer for the arena. I told her that I wanted to work with her again, and I've already pitched her the next project. Even though it's not fully finished, I've kind of pitched her the next project, and she's open to working with me again. So I'm going to work through Readsy again, because it was so easy to do so. The platform they use, or they've created on their website to communicate with people and collaborate on projects and see as it goes, is really cool. It's the best that I found from other options, and I shopped around a lot before I jumped fully into this publication process. So I would definitely go through Readsy for my cover designer. That's what I plan on doing for this next book. And I will also, I attempted it with this book, I will definitely make sure that I can get a lot of the editing and the cover especially done earlier in the process, so that as I go through and like build book buzz, well, like months before the book comes out, I'm going to have a lot more creative elements like the cover and the style and colors and stuff, that it'll be a whole lot easier to promote the book online in a way that's consistent throughout the entire process. Because the way this happened with the old cover designer, the style and everything of it online is not as consistent, which is something that I really dislike, but that's the way it all happens. So I will definitely start earlier with my promotional things for the cover. I'll do that earlier, and I'll stretch that out so that I have some time to do one of two, like a couple things, not just to put things out online on social media for promotion, but if I get the cover and all of that interior stuff done months in advance, then I can order proof copies, just like what this whole video is, just like this copy of the book. If I can order proof copies in advance, then I can send them out to book reviewers and people who will build book buzz and help build that for me, so that when the book comes out, there's already people who've reviewed it and have read it to attest to its quality and the story. So that's something that I really wanted to do, but I could tell early on when everything fell through with the first cover designer that I wasn't going to really be able to get proofs out like that to people to read it. And I still could, but we're so close to the release date that I have so many other things to do on my list right now that I thought my efforts were better put into just promoting the book myself, creating ads, and trying to appear in places to promote the book, than if I were to also, on top of that, try and get it out to readers and hope that they could read it before the release date. That's the biggest thing, is I'd have to make sure whoever I get that out to can read it before the 28th. So I decided just to leave that aside and put full force into the promotional efforts. And so that is something I'll do for the next book, is get all the design elements done earlier in the process and use the remaining months to get early readers, or get ARC copies, which are advanced reader copies, out to reviewers. And that kind of goes into this last question, which is a strange one, because I used to Google this question or ask it of authors myself. And so it's really strange now to be in a place where I can offer some advice myself, which is what the question is. What advice would you give to someone interested in publishing their book? My first piece of advice is to do it. Definitely publish your book. My entire life I've always been a reader. I've loved reading, and I can remember reading and writing stories when I was really little. I wrote picture books, like graphic books, kind of like comics. Those were my very first books that I ever wrote, because I didn't have enough vocabulary to tell the story. So I would do the thought bubble thing with my drawings and characters, and I would sit and I would, rather than run around with my friends and play with toys and stuff, I would sit and I would draw it on paper. And it wasn't until I was about 7 years old that I was exposed to Harry Potter, especially Harry Potter, but just books in general. And I realized that there were real people that wrote those books. The books just didn't exist. Somebody wrote, produced, and published the book. And that's when it dawned on me that, well, I have to buy the book, so somebody's getting a benefit from that. This must be a job. And so ever since then, plan A for my whole life has always been to be an author. And it's still plan A. It just hasn't come together, because breaking into the traditional publishing world can be very difficult. And that's what I've been spending really the last 10 years of my life doing all the time. Between my day job, with all of my writing projects, I was querying agents for projects. I was doing elevator pitches. I was trying to get my projects off the ground, and it just wasn't happening. And the answers I was getting weren't the ones I expected. For the longest time, when I wouldn't get answers back, I assumed it was because my book wasn't good enough. It's not ready. It needs to be edited again. So I would go back and I'd edit the book again or rewrite it. I have so many drafts of books that are just the same book that have been rewritten 3, 4, 5 times. But it wasn't until I started to get especially some really positive responses. I guess 2 years ago now, I was on summer break from my job as a teacher. And day one, school got out and I sent off a query letter, and that's what I was doing. I was day one sitting there trying to publish this book that I had finished and wrote throughout the school year, and now it was go time. And a couple days later, I got a response, and it was a literary agent that I'd queried throughout the years, because I really just clicked with this person. We had a whole lot in common. We liked the same kind of books. They'd published books I really liked, and I really wanted to work with them. And this time around, I heard back very quickly, and I hadn't always gotten a response. So the response I got was, "This sounds like a really cool book, but I don't have the time." And so I thought, wow, that was encouraging. And it felt really good to get that kind of response, even though it was a rejection. It was, one, somebody said something to me, which hadn't been happening in the past. And two, they liked my book. So I was getting not just that one response from that one literary agent, but I had sent so many others at the same time, and I started to get a couple of the same ones back. So I got that first one that said that they just didn't have the time, but they liked the project, and I got a couple more. Some of them were just responses like, "Sorry, we're already full for the year." And here's the thing with traditionally publishing. There are windows of time that are really good to get your foot in the door and try and publish. And a lot of those are in spring. And those authors I sent to for the spring, I sent as soon as their dates went up. I sent to them as soon as they posted on their websites that they were accepting submissions, and the responses I would get days later were, "We're full." So me in my mind, what was happening was that they were prioritizing, as I was finding out, because I was seeing their publication list, I was seeing the books they were working on and putting out. They were prioritizing people that have a lot of following. For instance, like when celebrities publish books, it doesn't matter if the book's good or not, the book's coming out, because all fans of Gwyneth Paltrow will go and buy a Gwyneth Paltrow book, for instance. I mean, I don't know if she has a book, but there's the example. People are going to go and buy the book because they follow her. More people are going to go and buy that book than me, who nobody knows, and it would be a chance whether the book would sell or not. So this is where business comes in. And I had never looked at publishing as like a business. I mean, I knew it was a business. You sell books. I knew that. But I had always looked at it more as if the book's really good, they'll publish it because the book's really good. But that's not the case. And so what was happening as I was seeing the list of books that they were publishing was that they were publishing books for people with a lot of following. And two, the authors they already had, they had book deals with them for a second year. So they're putting those books out as well. So of course they're ridiculously full, which is why no one was picking me up. I mean, maybe not all of the reason. Maybe I wasn't as good as I thought at that time, but those were the responses that I was getting. I was finally hearing back, and they were all things like that. So it was not my book, it was the business. So that's when I started doing a whole lot of research into the world of publishing. I looked at all aspects of it. The traditional world, where there's really just the 5 people involved, the 5 businesses that kind of take over the world. And then I looked at self-publishing, because there are some people in my community and online that have either started that way or are still self-publishing, and that's their job now. That's what they do full time, which has been plan A, right? So I did probably about 3 years of research. I'd researched into the world of publishing before and self-publishing just because it was interesting. So I'd been doing that off and on the whole time, trying to refine my practices. But I spent the next 3 years, especially, looking intensely at self-publishing and what makes people really good at it. What are things people judge self-publishers for, and how are ways that self-publishers have changed those ideas and why. And I started to realize that this is what I should do, because I have control over everything. I can literally say my book's being published because I know that it will be, because I will publish it. So my advice to people looking into self-publishing, especially self-publishing, is to do your research. I did 3 years of it. You don't have to do 3 years of it, but do the research, because it will make a difference in your book taking off. I don't know that part necessarily from experience because my book's not out, but I have seen a pretty impressive response, at least at this point, in response to my book. When I first said I was self-publishing, people didn't take me seriously. A lot of people I work with were just kind of like, that's cool, and moved on. But now that I have a pretty professional looking cover and I'm treating it like a business myself, I go home and I work is what I'm doing. I'm working on this book. I have my website where I publish things consistently. I have a first chapter out for free that people have read through and have said that they enjoyed it. And I put things on social media all the time promoting the book, and I'm trying to get into events to promote it in person. And so now people are taking it more seriously, because I think hugely recently, because this looks like a book. I think there's this opinion. It's judge a book by its cover, right? I think there's an opinion that self-publishers don't do it as well. Self-published books look self-published, and this does not look self-published, at least to me. It has all these little details. That's why this is one of my favorite parts of the cover, because this is what traditional publishers do. It's these teeny tiny little things that make this book look like I mean business, because I mean business. So that would be my advice. If you put money into anything, if you have the money, put it into editing, because that makes a huge difference. It's really hard to edit your own work because you read what you want the page to say. And people who are reading your book for the first time with no context read it as it is. So my advice would be to definitely spend money on editing and definitely spend money on the cover. And if you can't afford to do both, get together a really good team of friends. And by good team of friends, I mean, like, if you know someone who is an English major, go find them. If you still have connections with your high school English teacher, go find them. If you, I don't know, have a public library, go ask the librarian to read your book. Just to give you some advice, have them mark it up if they feel comfortable enough, and then spend the money on the cover, because people definitely judge a book by the way it looks. So that would be my advice for anyone looking into self-publishing. Really, it's just do your research, because the business of especially self-publishing, that changes all the time, constantly. I'm sure in another year or two, some of the things about my book will be so different that it just won't match up with what's out there. And that's just the way that the world works. Things change all the time. So take yourself seriously. Think of it as a business, because it is a business, and definitely just go publish your book. Because that's all I've ever wanted. And if you want something bad enough, you'll figure out a way to do it. And this is just the way that I've figured it out for myself. So I think that's pretty much it. That covers a lot of things. So, yeah, that's my proof copy and some questions and answers. This book comes out the 28th of March. So super, super soon. You can get a flip through and follow all kinds of fun things. I'm trying to post more often on my TikTok. That is in the description, as well as my Instagram. I'm super active on Instagram. So if you want to reach out to me or follow along with me on my journey, do that on Instagram, because that's where most of it is. I also publish at least once a month to my website with updates every month. That's where my planner goals go, as well as any book pieces. They're on my website. So you can go there and you can read chapter 1 of this book for free. It is the rough draft, so it's not the final version, but you can read chapter 1 for free on my website. And I think that's it. So I hope you reach out to me. Thanks for watching and submitting your questions for some of you that did that. And oh my gosh, I cannot wait for this book to be out. Holy moly. So thank you guys. When it does come out, make sure that you leave a review on Amazon or Goodreads. I'm also on Goodreads. That's the one I missed. Oh my gosh. Okay, well, that's pretty much it. Thanks for coming along with me. I'm super excited about this book coming out. So I'll see you guys later. Bye.